Today we're talking about this one. And where the bloody hell do I start with this? We've just come off the back of The Familiar, which, yeah, not well known for being a great book, but I thought it was brilliant. 10 out of 10. And the big sense that I got from that one is, bloody hell, lads and lasses, we're heading towards the climax of this series. And then this thing comes along. By the way, this is 42, The Journey. And what worries me the most going into this book is that it's a Rachel book. And the last few Rachel books have been questionable at best. So we start off in epic fashion. Just like in the last book, we start with a battle scene. Only whereas last time the battle scene was full of drama and tension and deadly stuff and grief and horror and all that stuff, this one is them battling a bunch of Dunkin' Donuts workers and just sort of clapping around the heads and saying, job done, let's go. And yeah, page 2 is my first big problem with this. And it's actually not related to that. It's where we get the whole my name is Rachel, this, that and t'other bit. Me and my friends are all that actively stand between the Yeerks and the evil conquest of humanity. Just a group of 5 kids and a young alien. We're trying to hold on until help gets here from a few billion light years away. See, the Yeerks have enemies, a race of amazingly advanced aliens called Andalites. Now what's wrong with that? Do you not remember book 38 where the Andalites basically said to the Animorphs, you're on your own? So why have we forgotten that? We're trying to hold on until help gets here. We've established that you're not really waiting, so point 1 against this book. So anyway, let's discuss the issues with the scene itself, the actual stuff that's going on. So we're in a factory where they're pretending to be Dunkin' Donuts workers, okay? So the Animorphs have gone in here. It's just human controllers in a little factory. They're right by the exit, okay? So they're in this room. And the reason they leave is because they've got 5 minutes left in morph. Are you heckin' serious? 5 minutes left. You're in a little room and there are a bunch of human controllers and you've allowed it to run down to 5 minutes. How is that? Why? It's just adding unnecessary drama. That's what it's trying to do. It's like, oh, this scene is a bit lame. Let's, time running out. Yeah, let's do that. Despite the fact that it's completely unreasonable knowing how these animals operate at this point and considering their opposition are people wearing aprons with donuts on them. Yeah, that's it. It's just human controllers. Why are they there, by the way? Good old Chi. Yes, the Chi. Saying, you know what, Animorphs? They're making portable controllers to be delivered to all Yeerks everywhere. So all Yeerks will be having portable controllers. You'd think, that's the plot of this book. That's big news. Big plot point. The Yeerks are looking at portable controllers, making the Yeerk pool redundant, decentralising the Yeerks, making them much harder to defeat. Big news, big important stuff. Is it the main plot of the book? No, not at all. Nothing of it. And yeah, so the Chi have told them that this is going on and they're making these in this little factory. These really important items. Remember how every time the Yeerks have been doing something important, they've had like an entourage of Hork-Bajir waiting in the back rooms playing card games just in case of this sort of situation? No, it's just a bunch of frumpy-dumpy little losers in their little aprons putting this stuff together. And you know the worst part of all this? The worst part of this scene is that they don't do anything. They're in there, they're battling, and then they say, right, time's up, let's go. And they run off out and leave. Did they forget that... what did they do? Did they destroy the Kandrona bits or did they just leg it? Did they actually complete the mission? No, they just walked outside. Right, that's the job done. We can be assured that these portable Kandronas are not going to happen now that we've bashed a few humans' heads in. What? Put it this way, right? If I've got a pest problem, if I've got like rats everywhere, I go to the shop, tiddly-dee, tiddly-do, and I pick up, right, rat poison, great, good stuff. And I take it up to the till, and I put it on the till. I pay for it, hand over the card, goes in my bag, I put it in the car, and I say to myself, problem sorted, and then just throw it in the bin. No, that's half a job. do the rest. But they didn't. They just sodded off. And that's the last we heard of the portable Kandronas. Of course, this was a mission delivered by the Chi and all their buddies. Yeah, the Chi. This big important mission with all these portable Kandronas, and there's not a single frickin' Hork-Bajir there. The Visser hasn't turned up doing his micromanagement bollocks. Doesn't seem like there's much going on. Maybe it was just a Dunkin' Donuts factory, and they just happened to have Dracon beams. But that's the opening scene, and that's the last we hear of that. So they leave this little factory place, and they go into the alleyway. And of course, because they're acting like idiots throughout this book, they didn't check the area for anybody hanging out. So they're demorphing, and then suddenly there's this little kid behind a dumpster in the middle of the frickin' night, hanging out in an alleyway with a camera. And he comes out, chink, takes a picture, and legs it. I mean, I don't know what you were up to as kids, but when I was a little kid, I wasn't hanging out in alleyways with a camera in the middle of the night. Might just be me. I had better things to do. Pokemon cards and the like, you know. But yeah, that's what happens. And then another really annoying part. Oh my God, it just gets... this isn't the worst. This isn't the worst. This is the opening scene. It's nitpicky from my point of view. This stuff that I'm saying now. Well, not really, but relative to the rest of the stuff in this book. So this kid has legged it. And Jake says, Tobias, follow. So Tobias goes off. And then Rachel, good old Rachel, she says, I'm going too, and starts to morph. I'm going to starts to morph. Jake, your line? Line, Jake. Jake says fucking nothing. He just sits there like twiddling his thumb. Well, Jake, you're supposed to be the frickin' leader. Rachel has just said, I'm going. I'm morphing. And you're just going to sit there and be like, I'm not in charge of this situation. He doesn't say, he doesn't even say, yeah, go ahead. He just said nothing. Nothing. No leadership. Nothing. Bollocks. So Rachel then goes and follows Tobias. And they find where this kid has gone. It's like an apartment building, an old run-down apartment building, goes in there. And then Rachel's saying to herself, oh, I hope the others come. And they do. And you just think, what was the point of that? What were the Animorphs doing in that alleyway? Playing chess? So Rachel's in the alleyway, decides to morph and fly off. And the others just stay there for a few more minutes, think, she's got a good head start, let's go. It's just muddled madness. Really. But anyway, they all meet up at this apartment and they find out their kid goes in. And so they think, okay, we've got to keep an eye on this kid. And that's the first scene done. First scene, bye book. What a load of shit. What a load of shit. Oh my God. Just everything about that. First, what? 11 pages, and I've got like 5 things on my list. That's ridiculous. That's like setting a new record. And it doesn't stop there. There's more. So what they're going to do now is they're going to take it in shifts to watch this apartment building, which they do. They take it in shifts and they go around it because they don't think of going in. Apparently they see the camera, they see which room it's in, and they're just looking at it thinking, that's the end of our resistance right there. Are we going to go in? No. Might smash a plate. Can't do that. They just look at it. And then they get the Chi to help. Some fucking help they are. They just get a homeless looking Chi just to sit in the alleyway and do shit all. This is the worst part of this book. This part here is the worst, right? And they try to make it up later, but we'll get to that. Put it this way. Remember in Visser, when Eric was able to sneak the Animorphs into the Council of 13 meeting where the two Vissers were having at it. He managed to put a force field around the whole team, sneaking through the boundaries and the doors and the hunter robots and all that, without harming a soul. And he gets right into that meeting. Now what? Nothing! Eric, could you just go into that apartment? You just go in there, grab a camera and leave. No. I mean, to be fair, the Chi don't say no. The animals just never even ask. What a freaking plot hole that is. I mean, what violence is the Chi gonna do? What? Just walking into a room, taking a camera and sodding off. They can do that fucking easily. And we've seen that they can do that easily. They've done it before. The whole thing where they go into the Council 13 meeting, there's a lot higher stakes there and more chance of violence, but they fucking did that, didn't they? This one, no. Resistance on the line? Nah, no worries, Chi. We'll take care of this. And then completely fuck up taking care of it. Clowns! And then the real plot kicks in. This is the B plot. This really shitty plot is thankfully the B plot. We've got an even shittier one for the A plot. This is Emily, I forgot to mention, this is ghostwritten by Emily Costello, whose previous book was The Animorphs 2, which was better than this book, spoiler alert. I fear that Emily was given a DOS script, honestly, but she's lost it here. But we get plot A, which is the return of the Helmacrons. Everyone's favourite. You know, I actually quite liked book 24. A lot of people don't, but I thought it was well placed in the series. It was actually quite funny, nice light-hearted feel to it, and it worked for me personally. It wasn't great, but it worked. We're doing it again. This book is Helmacron's 2.0, and it's shit. So yeah, plot. They're in the barn talking about what to do with this kid with the camera. I mean, obviously they can't just walk in. I mean, we've discussed that. They're just going to hang around and wait for this kid to come out, despite the fact that their entire resistance will be fucked if anyone else gets hold of this camera, even someone inside the building gets hold of that camera. No, they're just going to wait because they don't want to break and enter. It's not like they've done anything worse. It's not like they haven't done anything worse than that, let's be honest. But yeah, for the plot convenience, just so we can move the plot along, we're getting rid of the logic. Just wipe it from your mind. We're in imagination world, where logic is upside down, reason is back to front, and all that jazz. So they're in the barn talking about this, and then a little remote control car drives in with a spaceship in it. It's just freaking ridiculous. And it turns out to be the Helmacrons, and they're saying, we want the power source again. And the animals are just like, these freaking losers again. That's literally how they talk about it. And they just watch this guy like, what the hell are you doing here? You're not relevant to the plot. We've got bigger fish to fry. And then the animals continue to toss things up, for want of a better way of putting it. Actually, no, that's the scientific term, tossing it up. That's how it is. So, this part's funny, right? Cassie leaves. She's got hold of the blue box, okay? And she's going to put it somewhere really secretive, really top secret. And she puts it in a freezer, which has animal stuff in it, like animal medical, animal body parts and whatever. And she says it's also got ice lollies in it that her father really likes. And she says, no one else will get into this freezer. No other living organism in the planet is capable of coming in here. It's absolutely tip-top secret, this little freezer that my dad really likes the ice lollies in. Bye. What the frick, Cassie? I mean, maybe she was being facetious. Maybe the whole ice lollies thing was her being a bit silly, you know. But even then, it's got body bits in it. It's a freezer. Your parents work in this thing. They need a freezer. You're going to put the blue box in the frickin' freezer and say, no one's going to look in here. Sod off, Cassie. No. Put it somewhere better than that. Shit. She's really irresponsible with the cube, I think. Maybe something will come of that later in the series. But yeah, the Helmacrons drive up to this fridge and freezer and start trying to get in. And then Rachel comes along with a baseball bat saying, I'm going to give these Helmacrons a jolly good walloping with my bat. And then she hits Marco, who He falls over, bashes his head and falls unconscious, and the Helmacrons crawl up his nose. I've just written on my list the 6 stooges, because that's what this felt like. It's the 6 stooges now, and their names are Jake, Cassie, Rachel, Tobias, Marco, and Axe. Fuck. So the Helmacrons are inside Marco's nose, and we get just one of the... I mean, it sums up this book, really. The threats that they receive from these Helmacrons. Ha-ha! One of the Helmacrons cried. The vicious human attacks us with a mighty metallic weapon, but we are not defeated. Give us the power source now, and we will kill you quickly. Hesitate, and we will prod you with sharp sticks before you die. Now, this is the point where I have to say, I get it. I get it, what it's trying to do. It is not taking itself seriously at all. We will prod you with sharp sticks before you die. This isn't Animorphs, really, is it? It's not. It's a joke book. If it was published in April, I think we'd all know what this was. It would be an April Fool's joke. But this is what we have. After The Familiar, the last book, which was probably one of the, I wouldn't call it the darkest book of the series, but it's so filled with dread and terror and this dystopian, horrific future, and it's very, very grim and hard-hitting. And then we get this straight afterwards. It's just tonal whiplash, like fucking... it's so jarring. So jarring. And then, of course, I know I've mentioned the whole Eric thing and what happened there, but I've written on my list that I think this is the potentially the worst paragraph of the entire book series, on page 23. Tobias, you'd better get Axe, Jake said, because Axe is... he's looking at the apartment for the kid. First, see if you can get Eric to keep watch for us. He won't be able to follow the kid with the camera if he leaves the building, but at least we'll know where he is. Care to repeat that, Jake? He won't be able to follow the kid, but at least we'll know where he is. Did Joe Biden write this?
That is just being finished. I'm having a 2-hour vetting report from the lawyers and women and men of color, as well as white folks who are doing the vetting.
It just... He won't be able to follow, but he'll know where he is. Well, if he can't follow, how's he going to know where he is? And why can't he follow? Scratch that logical inconsistency. Why the fuck can't he follow? What, is that violence? Is following someone violence now? I mean, I know we're in the year 2021 and practically breathing is considered violence now, depending on who you're breathing towards. But Christ almighty. He won't be able to follow with the kid with the camera if he leaves the building, but at least we'll know where that's the word. Nothing about that makes sense. That line, just not... I mean, I said it was the worst paragraph in history. No, it's the worst sentence. Maybe not in history. In this book series. It's beyond belief. Book, I'm not even going to drop... It doesn't... Dropping it gives this sentence too much dignity. What can I do to you instead? Right, I've got it. Nah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to burn the book. People were very sad when I ripped up the weakness, despite how shit it was. I'm burning it in spirit. How's that sound? Okay? Are we happy with that? Cool. And then it gets worse. How, you might ask? Let's find out. The pacing in this book is just beyond... It's Game of Thrones Season 8, yeah? How everything just happened so quickly. How somebody could be at one part of the continent and then be at the opposite end of the continent in the next scene. It's worse than that. This bit you're about to hear. This bit. Okay? So let's do it. In fact, it actually immediately follows the worst sentence in Animorphs history. Tobias spread his wings and was gone. So Tobias is flown away to get Axe. And not only was he going to get Axe, but as from the last paragraph, first see if you can get Eric to help keep watch for us. So he's got 2 tasks. Tobias, your tasks are to ask Eric to go guard the building for us. Your second task is to get Axe and then come back here. Okay, so that's the premise. Can we go in after them? Jake asked. Cassie made a face. Smallest morph, blah, 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 blah. Ticks are useless in battle, I said. And there's like there's a string of conversation on this page, which adds up to 20 seconds maximum. Not even that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start from Tobias spreads his wings and was gone, and I'm going to read all of the spoken words. Okay? I'm going to time how long it takes for Tobias to get back after completing those 2 tasks. So, Tobias spread his wings and was gone. Start. Can we go in after them? Smallest morph. I guess a flea is small enough to get into nasal passages. It might be tight though. Maybe a tick? Ticks are useless in battle. Excuse me, are you planning to have a battle in my nose? You have a better suggestion? No. Ideas? Well, we have the Helmacron ship. We could power it up with the morphing cube, get tiny, and go after the Helmacrons as humans. That is, assuming the controls are still working. Then there's a pause. That could work, Jake said tentatively. Nothing from Marco. What could work? Tobias asked. Stop. He's back. 42 seconds. And that's being frickin' generous, Tobias. Jesus Christ. If I'd have known that this guy was Superman, you'd think the war would be over a lot frickin' sooner. It took him 42 seconds to fly out from the barn, go to Eric, wherever he lives, and tell him to take Axe's place and to look after this apartment, and then go to the apartment, find Axe, tell him to come back to the barn with him, and then flies all the way back to the barn. 42 seconds. I might actually burn you. This must be, I'm calling it, page 23, encroaching on 24, the worst page in the entire Animorphs book series. Without doubt. Just logic be frickin' damned. Let's just go into clown world. That's what this page is. Frickin' hell. Oh, I'm looking at my notes and I've just put, I can't do this anymore. I've just written that in my notes. I can't do this anymore. Literally, still page frickin' 24. So, a red-tailed hawk and a northern harrier fluttered into the barn and settled into the rafters, Tobias and Axe. We were just thinking about using the controls aboard the Helmacron ship to shrink ourselves and go after the aliens in Marco's nose, Jake explained. Yes, Axe said. I believe it is the only way. Okay, so let me get this straight. Axe had no idea this was going on. Tobias took 42 seconds to do all his little tasks and to get Axe. And he's also had time to explain the whole situation to Axe. And then Axe flies in. Jake says, we're going inside Marco's body. This is the only way. This book is a joke. It's a joke. It's a 10 out of 10. For a joke, it's a freaking 10 out of 10, I tell you. And then there's another problem, except this one's on page 25. At least we've moved a page forward. Okay, so we've got the whole kid in the apartment thing, and as I've mentioned, the Animorphs do not want to go inside. They just refuse to go inside, take care of this little task that could end their resistance. There's no, we can't do that. We can't possibly go into somebody's private property and steal a camera. And then they're talking about going inside Marco's body, which turns out to be, well, I suppose you could call it private property, to save, or to get rid of these Helmacrons. And Jake just says, okay, we go after them, no choice. Is the book trying to draw a parallel? Because it's doing a really shitty job if it is, because It just makes Jake look like he's got a complete double standard there. We can't go into that building because it's that kid's private property. Yes, Marco, we will go inside your body to get rid of this problem. No choice. Jake. This book is non-canon. I already know I was going to call it. It's non-canon. I'm just going to tell you now, okay? So Jake's idea. I can't freaking speak. This is too stupid. Jake's idea is, ooh, we shall shrink ourselves and enter Marco's body. What could be wrong with that plan? Everyone agree? Yeah, cool. Let's do it. So they're going to use the Helmacron's shrink ray. And the way that this is ridiculous, okay? So Axe has got this little ship and he's got himself like a pair of tweezers or something and he's just fiddling with the controls of this Helmacron ship. And considering the Helmacrons are supposed to like a millimetre tall, how big do you think the buttons and a little screen are going to be? Like a computer screen in a Helmacron ship. And he's just there, the pair of tweezers, like, adjust the radius, take out the poison darts, and away we go. What? How good's his eyesight? And his bloody fingers must be so stable. And on top of all that, he knows how frickin' Helmacron technology works. When the technology is about 1/10 of a millimetre. How the fuck does that make sense? To be fair, at least this book is consistent. And then to page 29, I'm just finding errors frickin' everywhere in this. And it's about Jake. Jake in this book is so frustrating. And it's not frustrating because his character is being frustrating. It's because his character's gone. This isn't Jake. It's just not. You know, what's Jake been like the last, I don't know, 30 odd books? Since probably about book 16, which was a big turning point for Jake. He's never asking questions. He's telling. He might ask the occasional question on specific strategic plans that, I don't know, Marco has or Axe. Information. He wants the information. But he never asks, should we do this? Do you want to do that? Marco, do you think we should go over there? No, he doesn't. He's the leader and he acts like a leader most of the time. Just show me which button to push, Marco told Axe eagerly. Jake looked at Marco. You're going to shrink us? Who else? I thought Axe would do it. My God. Jake looked troubled. Marco, don't you want to have someone here with you? He asked. What's happened to Jake in this book? He never asks questions like that. He tells people. And that's not me just portraying him a certain way. That's how he's been for at least like 30 books. He tells. He doesn't go up to Marco and say, do you want someone with you? Do you want us to shrink ourselves? Fuck Jake. I'm not. Do I rate Jake's leadership in this book? Because it's an imposter. This isn't the real Jake. Eric's come along. This is Eric in trying to be an imposter of Jake. And then, of course, the Helmacrons have gone into Marco's body and just abandoned their ship entirely. They haven't left a few behind to make sure that the ship doesn't get stolen. No, they all just go into Marco's nose. So the Animorphs have complete control of this Helmacron ship. They shrink themselves all apart from Marco and enter his body. And then we get the big chase scene. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I've gone on for long enough already, Christ almighty. But we've got most of the notes out of the way. That first, 30 pages was just full of shite. Thankfully, my notes start to calm down now. So, yeah. Basically what happens is the Animorphs are chasing the Helmacrons through Marco's body and they go through the bloodstream and they go into his stomach and Rachel gets blinded by the stomach acid and they get fired at by the Helmacrons. It's probably a good thing that I can't remember their name that well because I don't really want to at this point. But we also get little scenes with Marco. So not often we get it in the main series books where we actually go into the body of another character. We're going into Marco because he's still big Marco. He's been told by Jake specifically not to morph. The one time Jake has actually shown any leadership in this book, because apart from this bit, he doesn't. He tells Marco, "Don't morph. That would be very naughty of you. I'll be very cross." Because Axe said something about, oh, Z-Space, this has never been done before, so it could be there could be problems that come from it. So Marco's been told that. And Marco decides, screw all the plans, I'm going to go grab the camera while they're inside my body. No problems at all, lads. He's supposed to be Mr. Smart Marco, but now he's acting like Rachel. Which is funny, really, because this is a Rachel narration book, and Marco acts more like Rachel than Rachel does in a Rachel narrated book. He just goes up to this apartment building, thinks to himself, am I being stupid? Yeah. Am I going to do it? Yeah. And he goes up the thing, goes into the apartment, and there's a dog called Buster, a pit bull, who starts attacking him, and he grabs his arm. And he sees the camera on this kid's desk. The kid's not in. He's not there. Because obviously the kid, having taken this picture of the Animorphs doing their thing, just thinks, oh, I'll leave the camera there and I'm going to go, I don't know, go down to Cassie's freezer for some ice lollies. But no, the camera's left on the desk. And so Marco goes in and he's faced with this dog and he thinks, right, that camera there could mean the end of our resistance. This dog's teeth hurt. Leg it! Mr. A to B. Mr. I'm going to take the easiest route, even if it means some sort of self-sacrifice. There's the camera on the desk. End of the resistance, potentially. There's a freaking pit bull in the way. And the worst it's done to you is it's bitten into your arm a bit. And he legs it. Fuck. I mean, I told you I didn't really want to go into the whole great body race that's going on between the Animorphs and the Helmacrons, because really that's all it is. They're just chasing around the body and going through various morphs and nothing really substantial happens. But I just wanted to point out something on 85. This is the most nitpicky one of the lot, but I just wanted to... It's on my list, so why the hell not? They're talking about the Helmacrons, because they've just gone into this blood vessel, heading up to what they've believed to be the heart, because that's what the Helmacrons are trying to do. This whole thing is because they're taking Marco hostage, okay? Because they want the morphing cubes. They're inside Marco and saying, we'll kill him if you don't give us the morphing cube. And they say, right, we're going to go to the heart where we can kill him. So they're heading off to the heart. And the Animorphs are thinking, wouldn't they drown in the blood vessels? And they're all saying, yeah. And then they say, well, what if they're like amphibious and they don't breathe the same way we do? Axe says, or maybe they do not breathe at all. How can you be alive and not breathe, I argued. Axe blinked his main eyes at me. Trees are alive and they do not actually breathe. Correction, Axe, they do. Okay? Maybe not the same way that we do, but they do. So, wrong. Mr. I can operate Helmacron frickin' technology at a microscopic level with a pair of tweezers, doesn't know that trees breathe. To be fair, maybe the trees on his homeworld don't breathe, but you'd think he'd lived on Earth long enough to know that they do. I'll be generous, maybe the trees on his own planet are these weird fucking things that don't actually breathe, but I'm doubtful. So anyway, Marco is recovering from his injuries, and of course he's been told he can't morph, so he's not going to morph. So he's got this problem, and he starts to feel, so unfair. He becomes Kevin from Kevin and Perry.
That is so unfair, I hate you!
His dad's peeking in. Son, what's wrong? Oh, what? God! Just throwing these teenage temper tantrums. And there's no explicable reason why. And then he decides, screw logic again. I'm going to go get that camera. I'm going to go back into Rachel mode. And then he goes back to the building. And remember all that stuff I said about the chi not going in because of some violence thing? He actually says it here. For about half a second, I wondered if I should ask for his help, referring to the chi that's outside the apartment building. Maybe he could throw a hollow around me, make it easier to sneak into the apartment. rejected the idea. It would probably violate the Chi's code of non-violence. What a joke. Yes, Marco, what a freaking joke. He's done it before. You're not even going to fucking ask him. At least the book is self-aware. Yes, what a joke, book. What a freaking joke. I reckon I know what's happened here. Emily Costello has written up to page 104, and she gets to this scene, she thinks, oh shit, the Chi could have just solved this problem. I don't have to start this book again. Something about the non-violence thing. Go, just do it. Hope no one notices. Fuck me. Anyway, Marco goes into the apartment and does exactly the same as last time, where he's got the choice of taking the camera and legging it, but instead he just fucks around and jumps into a cupboard. just freaking jump out the window, mate. Worst case scenario, take the camera and launch out the fucking window, see where it lands and think, right, as soon as I'm out of here, I'm getting it. Okay? But no, he just acts like a complete divvy. Marco is a total tosspot in this book. So we're back inside Marco's body, and they've all arrived at the heart. They've gone through various little submission things throughout Marco's body, but it's all freaking irrelevant, and I don't really want to talk about it because it's just freaking traumatic. They get up to the heart, and the Helmacrons are there saying, they're in sharks, by the way. The Animorphs are in shark morph. The Helmacrons are saying, aha, we shall destroy this body, because the Helmacrons don't realise how hostages work. And they were literally about to fire. And then Marco, while he's in this cupboard in the real size world, decides, right, because I've been a fucking moron and got myself into this situation, I'm going to morph. Because I don't think the other animals are still alive, because they haven't spoken to me for a while. Because obviously Jake has been a complete divvy and not had somebody constantly communicate with Marco saying, we're still alive, we're still alive, we're still alive. Because obviously Jake's not being a leader in this one, I don't have a fucking clue, and nor do the others think at one point, maybe we should tell Marco that we're still alive. No. So Marco decides, oh, they must be dead. I'll go morph and become a cockroach to escape this situation that I've somehow put myself in that I should never have put myself in the first place. So he morphs and the animals are still inside, and the place around them changes a little bit. Probably more than a little bit. But yeah, they're inside Marco's roach body now. And the Helmacrons again decide, fuck hostages, bang, 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 shoot him, and Marco dies. Yes, Marco's dead. Okay, that's weird. So yeah, Marco's dead. Because, and we get possibly the worst quote of the series. I mean, I know we've had a couple of contenders already, but this is just ridiculous. Marco! Cassie cried again, a wrenching sound, horrified, full of pain. He can't answer you, Cassie, Jake said, his voice strangely flat. Next I heard Tobias's voice. Who would have predicted this? Who would have thought the Helmacrons were more dangerous than the Yeerks? What the fuck is that, Tobias? What is that? That's just... Who says that? That's like a line out of frickin' Star Wars prequels.
I should have known the Jedi were plotting to take over.
Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil!
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
So the animals decide, fuck it. And they use their sharks to attack the Helmacrons. Now, the worst part about this particular bit is that at the start, when they first went into Marco's nose, they actually tried attacking the Helmacrons as their battle morphs. Like Rachel was the elephant. And the others were, like Tobias was a Hork-Bajir and all that. So they tried attacking the Helmacrons, but they did nothing. The Helmacrons they're about 100 times bigger than the Animorphs, right? Not 100, about 10 times bigger, even though Rachel's in elephant morph. And they didn't do any damage. And the Helmacrons are laughing, we are impervious to your small bodies. They can't do anything. They literally have no effect on the Helmacrons. What happens here? Oh, I'm a shark. And you've made us angry by killing Marco, so they go up and they just rip these Helmacrons to shreds. What? I know I've been that frickin' word that I can't pronounce right now, exacerbated a lot of times in this book, but I don't know how else to react. I honestly don't, because that is just bonkers. It's nonsense. They couldn't damage them earlier at all. And now they're ripping the legs off of them? And then Jake just gets worse as well. So yeah, Marco's just died. I attacked while the Helmacrons were still cheering Marco's death. I bit clear through a Helmacron leg with my powerful shark jaw. Cassie, Axe, grab the Dracon beam, I shouted. We're Rachel, by the way. Jake, Tobias, hack through the walls. So basically what Rachel's done here is she's just overridden Jake. Fuck Jake, you're not the leader anymore. I'm Rachel, I'm in charge. Remember book 37, how everything went really well? I'm in charge again now. But Tobias said, Marco is dead, I said savagely. Do it. No, Jake shouted. We have to, Cassie said quietly. We must fight to save ourselves, Axe said. There will be time for mourning later. Fine, Jake said bitterly. How has he become such a pushover in this book? He's just let Rachel dish out the orders. And then he tries to give an order. And then when the others say, no, Jake, you don't understand. He just says, it actually says bitterly, so he just goes, fine. He's just become such a little bitch in this book. What's happened, Jake? You're having a real off day here, mate. And then there's the whole bit about how they're constantly talking about how roaches have lungs. And when they eventually leave the Marco's cockroach body, the frickin' fiancé.
Messenger.
Hello, my dear.
Hi, darling. Are you doing your drinking game?
No, I'm recording, though. I'm recording the review.
Okay, so you have to drink now, right?
No, because I'm not doing the drinking game yet. That's later.
What time?
I'm not telling you now, am I?
Come on, please.
I'll be doing it later. Then you can call me and get me drunk.
Okay, I'll call you in like an hour.
Right, noted.
I'm going to call you every half an hour.
No, you will not. Bye. Okay, bye. Bye.
Love you.
Jesus. Yeah, it keeps mentioning how the cockroaches have lungs and how they were in the lungs before they left the spiracles of the cockroach. And cockroaches don't have lungs, book. Emily, cockroaches don't have lungs. You might have wanted to research that before you put that in. Okay.
Messenger.
What? Are you?
I forgot to ask you a favor.
What?
All right. In your most Gordon Ramsay-est voice, I'd like you to say it's raw.
It's raw.
Thank you.
It's fucking raw.
That was all.
Bye.
You got Savannah laughing over here. Say a wet potato.
Oh, what?
Say a wet potato.
A wet potato? What's that got to do with anything? Right, okay, bye. Okay, bye. Love you, bye. But anyway, as we all know, the Helmacrons have made a fatal choice because their whole point was to have a hostage, and now they've killed the hostage, so now they have no leverage, and they just surrender. Well, to be fair, the Animorphs had grabbed a Dracon beam after they attacked the Helmacrons, who were previously impervious, but now they're not impervious, so as soon as he gets attacked, his leg falls off and he drops his weapon, and the Animorphs pick up the weapon. Is anybody sensing a bit of plot convenience going on here? So because they've got one Dracon beam against a number of Helmacrons who have shown themselves to be completely foolhardy and, you know, they never surrender. They surrender. Great. So they all just leave Marco's dead body. Okay. And then they're in this kid's apartment in the cupboard, so in darkness. And they send Tobias off to find out where they are. And then they start making jokes. Jokes. And this is something that happens throughout the book. They're just constantly making jokes. They never hit. They're just joke, 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 joke. Every page, joke, 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 joke. And, you know, your typical jokes, your logical script jokes, as in the plot is a joke. Yeah, just jokes everywhere. And Marco's just died. They're standing beside his body and they're making frickin' jokes. And not just one sort of like, oh, we've been in a really tragic situation, try to alleviate the situation with a bit of humour. No, just all of them are just like, joke! Joke! Joke. What is the tone of this book? It's just so silly. And then how do they revive Marco? By the power of believing in themselves, essentially. So Marco's dead, and they say, hold on, he's a roach and they survive everything. Marco, wake up! Wake up, you complete dosser! You fucking moron! Fucking wake the fuck up! Oh, I'm awake now! Demorph! Ugh. And then they take the camera. Now, by the way, they've made a deal to power up the Helmacron ship. So they power up the Helmacron ship once they get back and have taken the freaking dust. They've taken the camera with them, so that's that problem solved. And then they power up the Helmacron ship, and that's it. Everything's tickety-boo. Book over. Done. Fucking wow. What an adventure. It's an essay in how to make a book as nonsensical as possible. I mean, I know it's sci-fi, but even by sci-fi standards of leniency, this is bullshit on every level. Just so many items on my list, so many things that I didn't even put on there that are just wrong with it. The characters are not themselves. Jake is a little bitch bussover. Marco is an idiot who doesn't even think properly. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, he had rabies. That's why he was throwing fucking, that's so unfair. Because he had rabies, because he got a dog bite, and because he didn't demorph. And so he went a bit mad. Marco has rabies. I mean, yeah, so Jake's out of character, Marco's out of character, Cassie freaking puts the blue box in a freaking freezer. Fucking anyone can find it. I mean, Axe and Tobias don't really do much. Axe has a couple of stupid lines here or there. Tobias just, as per usual with Tobias, he's just sort of there. And then there's Rachel. Remember who narrates this book? Rachel. Have you noticed I've not actually really mentioned her like once throughout this review? You wonder why that is. Because Marco is more like Rachel in this book than Rachel is. There's literally no reason for her to be the narrator in this book. No reason. There's no character development for any of the characters. There's nothing. This book is nothing. Nothing. It might as well be invisible. I don't understand how this was approved as a main series book, especially after The Familiar and recently after book 38. I mean, come on, we're approaching the end of the frickin' series. Books like 38, 41, big hitters, and we surround it by this one and 39 and 40, which are basically nothing. Nothing books. Were they trying to fill out were they told to do a certain amount of books and they thought, right, we've got all these ideas. Oh, we've got so many books left over. Fuck it, we'll throw the Helmacrons in again. At least the first time in book 24, the Helmacrons were quite funny. But the humour misses the mark at every opportunity in this one. Every opportunity. And they joke too much. Every freaking sentence. I mentioned Marco died and they're standing there making jokes about, oh, look how small we are. We're in an apartment. Oh, funny pun. Oh, witty humour. It's all over the frickin' place. There's no tonal consistency. There's no consistency. The only consistency is how frickin' inconsistent it is. It's bonkers. It really is. And it's just following a trend of Rachel books now. What were Rachel's last books? 32, The Separation. Shite. The Weakness. I fucking wanted to burn that one at all. And now we've got this one. Rachel's character is done. Her character arc finished in book 22 as far as I'm concerned. I mean, 27 where the Drode was like, come to the dark side, Rachel. We've seen none of that. I think we get more of that in 48, but we'll see how it handles that particular thing. But yeah, for the last 3 books, they've just said, no, Rachel's done. She's just a character. She's just a character at this point. The problem with Rachel and I know a lot of you are Rachel fans, and I get it. You probably think of her different than I do. But she can be described as little more than a battering ram at this point. That's all she is. And if a character can be described just by stating an inanimate object, then there really is not much character to her. I'm sorry. She is nothing at this point. She is literally just angry and hits things. There's nothing else to it, judging by the last 3 books. And it all started in book 32 when we got the mean and nice Rachel thing. That's what truly ruined Rachel's character, and we're still on that frickin' track. They didn't even try to give a character in this book. She's just the narrator for narrator's sake. It's more of a Marco book. And that's exemplified by the fact that he has like 4 or 5 chapters in this. It was more of a Marco book than a Rachel one. Fuck me. Jake's leadership, it's... Oh my God, where do I... There was no leadership. There was none. He gave like 1 order. No, he gave like 2 orders throughout, and both of them were disobeyed. Both of them. And he showed no leadership. He just let people do whatever the fuck they wanted. He had no authority, and he was complete shit. The only thing that saves him from getting a 1 is the fact that there were no really fatal decisions. Could you count? No, they were just stupid. So he's got a 2 out of 10, a really low 2 out of 10. It's fucking awful. What does the book get? I gave The Weakness, the last Rachel book, funnily enough, a 1 out of 10 because it was that appalling. It's just, this one is just as appalling as The Weakness in terms of plot, in terms of stupid, illogical stuff going on, in terms of awful quotes. I mean, this one's, it's, in terms of like individual quotes, this one's worse than The Weakness. Individual quotes, like some of the lines I've read from this book are just absolutely fucking awful. I'm sorry, Emily Costello. I think you did a good job of Tonal 2. This was a train wreck. Is it a 1 out of 10 like The Weakness? No, and I'll tell you why. Because this book is deliberately shit. I get the feeling that this book is deliberately a waste of our time. And it's self-aware in how shit it is. It's shit, but it knows it's shit, and it doesn't tell you otherwise. It is the definition of filler. Crappy filler. It can't be more filler than this. And you know why The Weakness was a 1 out of 10? Because it tried to take itself seriously. It was lying to us. It tried to take itself seriously and fucked that up as well as all the other crap that went on in that book. This one, at least, knows what it is, tells us what it is, and just does what it is. And that's why it's not as bad as The Weakness. Is it a 1 or 2? I'm trying to think of positives about this book. Any positives? There are none. There are no positives. It's on the verge of 1 and 2. I'm trying to... Because it's not as bad as The Weakness. No, it's a 1. It's a high 1 just because of how self-aware it is. But yeah, just everything about this. There's not one good thing about this book. Not one. Nothing. Nothing at all. So we've gone from a 10 out of 10 in the last book, and now we've got a 1. Very similar to how the last Rachel book, The Weakness, was a 1 out of 10, but that was followed by a 10 out of 10. So the quality is so inconsistent at this stage of the series. Unbelievably so. It's up, down, up, down. What have we got next? The Test. A Tobias book, the one with the taxon on the front. And guess who returns? My most hated villain of the series, Taylor. Remember that girl that I thought was a complete wet sock of a villain? And I gave the last book she was in 3 out of 10. I'm hoping for an improvement from this shit. And honestly, I do not think it's going to be anywhere near as bad as this book. But we'll see. We'll see. Thank you very much for watching. This has been a rough one. Okay? Right, I'm going to go start my drinking game, and I'm wondering how many times my fiancée is going to call me. So tune into that on Wednesday to see how many times she does call me and get me drunk. Okay? Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time. Ta-ra!